Ladies and gentlemen, I am Sherman D. Manning, and that is a real siren you hear in the background there. This is the Sherman D. Manning podcast. Whatever you're doing, do me a favor. Stop it. Text message someone, email somebody, give them a telephone call and tell them that we're on the air. Be sure to get a copy of The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. It's my most recent book. It's selling like hotcakes. You can get it at local bookstores, and you can also obtain it at Amazon.com. The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. This is a walking podcast. Now, I am out and about in Los Angeles, so the background yelling and things of that nature, I can't really control, but I'll do my best. Donald wants to be your president, and I think that, quite frankly, you and I would be buffoons to elect a modern day Adolf Hitler, because that is what he is. This is an accusation on anybody just because I didn't like them or what have you. It'll be a cold day in hell before I accuse someone of something like that they did not do. But the evidence leads any reasonable minded person to conclude that Donald raped his ex-wife. And Tim Mack's story was buried because the Chuck Todds of society and the Stephanopouloses and the Dickersons wanted to get the ratings of having Donald on their show. So before they have him on the show, they have to agree not to ask him anything like that. You know, not to pull a Megyn Kelly on him, not to be a real journalist or a real reporter. And so he's a media hoax. He has been aided and abetted by a media gone soft. And anybody that knows anything about the media knows that the media can make you or break you. This is what they do. And then they look around and play crazy and pretend like they don't know what they're doing or they don't know what has happened. But the media in this country is more powerful than any politician will ever be or could ever be. There are people walking around loosely here, so you'll forgive me for the background noise. And also forgive me for watching out of the corner of my eyes to make sure nothing is happening that would be considered negative toward me. I have to watch, keep, and pray. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of things going on in this country right now. And those of us who love this country have to have our thinking caps on. And this guy here just wants to hit me, I guess. We have to have our thinking caps on, and we have to remember that they that know not their history are destined to repeat it. Look at the history. Remember what happened before Reconstruction. Remember what happened. Remember what happened. Keep your eyes on Donald. Do I think he's going to win? No. Period. That's being honest with you. But I also know that we can't be lackadaisical. We can't sit back and kick back and act like by osmosis we can prevent him from being elected. We have to get active. We have to get organized. Those of you who are registered to vote have to vote. Those of you who are not registered and can register must register. Let me talk back about my brothers again. Forget Donald for a moment. We've got to get literacy on the agenda. Literacy must become the new civil rights issue. Literacy. If you can't read, it cripples you. It paralyzes you for life. It paralyzes your life. And I learned something in prison. Let me give it to you. This is going to be tweetable, baby. If you hang around crippled people, not walking starts to look normal. Somebody missed it. Somebody didn't get that. I'm going to give it to you again. Stay with me. If you hang around crippled people, not walking starts to look normal. You've heard misery loves company. people who grew up in poverty and grew up in the ghetto, and that's all they've seen and have not gone to the other side of town. Their poverty seems normal. It becomes a way of life. It becomes a way of life. And they don't even strive to do anything different. And what bothers me is when I see a man in a wheelchair who has the potential to get up, but because he's been in a wheelchair for so long, and because everybody around him, the people around him are also in wheelchairs, he decides that this is normal. He doesn't even want to get up anymore. That is a problem. We have got to want to get up. We've got to want to get up. We've got to want to get out of poverty. The civil rights leaders of old did a great job. They did a magnificent job. I will never, ever try to undermine, undercut, or in any way poo-poo the work that they did, because they did magnificent work that I probably could not have done. And they created a lot of change for us and made great strides for black people in this country. But even they will tell you, Ambassador Andrew Young has indicated to me on a number of occasions that they didn't do the groundwork and build the infrastructure to get our people out of poverty. And this is what Dr. King wanted to do with the Poor People's March, which he didn't live to see because he was cut down by one of those same guys who would have been supporting Donald had he been alive at that time. They were on to it. Andy and Hosea Williams and Jesse Jackson, all three of whom I know, and I certainly know Andy very well, and Reverend Hosea Williams extremely well. Don't know Jesse as well, but I know him. But C.T. Vivian and Ralph David Abernathy, all of these guys, John Lewis, they had finally seen the light, and they had come to the ultimate conclusion that now that we'd gotten the right to vote, we needed jobs. And not only did we need jobs, we needed businesses. We needed to own something, to build something, to buy something, to create something, to invent something. They were on to it. But they had so much work to do that they couldn't do everything. That's number one. And as I said, number two, they will admit to you, anybody who was alive during that era will admit to you that they wish they had done more. So now, that's history. Now up to where we are now, what we need to do is start pulling our people out of poverty, whoever they are, pulling them out of poverty. Because if you're waiting on some politician to come along and do it, you'll be waiting until hell freezes over. We've got to get our people out of poverty. And one of the main ways to get out of poverty, sounds cliche, but it's actually real, is to get educated. Get educated. I want college tuition to be free. I want what Bernie Sanders is advocating to come to pass. I want to see that happen. But what if it doesn't? And even if it does, in the meantime and in between time, what do? Sit around and twiddle our thumbs? No. We have got to start self-study. We have got to start reading. We have got to become literate. I don't know how many different ways I can say it. Readers are leaders. Show me a man who can read and think and count, etc., and I'll show you a man who will succeed. We have got to get our people educated. Education, as Mandela said, is the bridge to true liberation. Understand, we got emancipated, but we did not get liberated. And the reason we did not get liberated is because we didn't have any money. And we were promised 40 acres and a mule. We never got the 40 acres and we never got the mule. We can argue reparations all day long. And I know that there are some great black thinkers and writers who are, in fact, arguing that. I'm not poo-pooing their argument. I'm not putting it down. I'm not trying to speak, teach, or preach against it. I'm with them in spirit. I'm with them in mind. I'm with them in heart. But I say in the meantime and in between time, what do? It'll take a while for white people in this country to decide to give us reparations, if ever. But in the meantime, what shall we do? We cannot twiddle our thumbs. We've done that for too long. I met too many men in prison who could not read, who could not write, who could barely count. I met too many. I say not another one of us. I say we've got to get out of this. I say we've got to get this out of us. This is wrong. This is crazy. This must stop. We have got to get it together. And I believe that we can do it, and we will do it. But we've got to fight. We've got to fight. We've been through a lot in this country, and we've come from a mighty long way. And I know that suffering breeds character, and character breeds faith, and in the end, faith will not disappoint. And so what I want to see us do is come together. And what I want to see us do is become a people of action, a people who will do what it takes to succeed, a people who know that by and large, nobody's going to come along and rescue us. A thinking people. And that is what a lot of these Caucasian brothers and sisters of mine who are packing out Donald's events are not doing. They're not thinkers. They're not thinkers. I mean, quite frankly, you got to be an idiot. You've got to be a dummy. You've got to be a dumbbell to believe that Donald is going to do anything to rescue John Q. White America. If you are a billionaire, if you are a millionaire, a Donald presidency would be great for you, because he wants to do what the average Republican wants to do, which is their tax plan. And that tax plan always favors the rich. There's one thing you can count on with the Republican Party of 2016, the Republican Party of the 21st century, and that is, if you're black, get back. If you're brown, stick around. And if you're white, you're just right. You can count on them to be racist. That's what they are. That's what they are. That's what they do. And the other thing you can count on is that any tax plan that they come up with is going to benefit the rich, not the middle class, and certainly not the working class. And so for all of you going to these rallies, pumping your chest and doing your Hitler salutes on the down low, remember, Donald has nothing for you except lip service, except rhetoric. He looks down on you. He thinks you're dumb. He thinks you're a fool. He thinks you're a buffoon. He thinks the joke is on you because you've bought his crock of crap. I told you the guy's like cotton candy. To some of you, he may look good. He doesn't to me. To some of you, he may smell good. But when you bite down into him, there's nothing there. Nothing about Donald has substance, and it does not stick to the ribs. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sherman D. Manning. I want you to go get The Truth About O.J. Simpson and read more about Donald in that book. I'd like for you to get The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. Get it at your local bookstore. Get it at Amazon.com. You'll be glad you did. I'm going to sign off for now, and I may come back later. If I don't, you should know that I'll see you tomorrow. Sherman D. Manning. Do me a favor. Tell everybody you know about this podcast. And we will get better. We will get stronger. We'll get more professional. And we're going to do all of that. I want to send a shout out to Professor Ben Pack over at USC. A great young Doogie Howser type professor that I met on yesterday, along with John Murray and the others who were there. I'd like to also send a shout out to Professor Scott Wood, great professor, and Monty Henry.